TSPN. And now, TSPN News with Tom Slavik. Comprehensive news because in today's world, you need more than just sound bites. TSPN, streaming on the World Wide Web, and now on-demand ad.
All right.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to TSPN. It's Monday, and with us is Supervisor Richard Forster. Supervisor
Hi, Tom.
Forster. Tommy, could you close the door? I'm getting feedback in here. And also, tomorrow is a Board of Supervisors meeting. If I didn't say it, okay, I got my bearings again. I don't hear myself talking in my head.
Yeah, not anymore.
Not anymore. Okay, great. And so, Richard, you came by, let us know what's up on the agenda, and I think today, I could say it looks like you might even be out of there early tomorrow. We're about noontime.
Yeah, about noon. No meeting ever gets over before noon. And
Okay.
I think this will be no exception. There are a couple of big items on here to talk about. Even the consent agenda is very short tomorrow. Must have something to do with summertime. So anyway, the first item up is on a community pipeline safety and the initiative by PG&E to go out and inform people what they're doing. We've already had a meeting. I was involved in the meeting. Our CAO and our Community Development Director, Aaron Bruce Torrey, with representatives from PG&E who are taking on this initiative. My feeling was after attending the meeting that this is appropriate for the whole board to hear, not just one member of the board.
Okay.
So we advanced this and moved it forward. Dylan George is our area representative for PG&E, who is basically their public relations person that works with Amador County. He informs us, and he does a very good job when there are power outages or things anticipated that involve PG&E. He picks the phone up and calls us, especially if it's in a district, but if it's countywide, he'll go through our CAO and does a very good job. But this is an initiative. We all know what's going on with PG&E. They've had some major pipeline explosions and loss of life involved with that. So they've started a campaign and an initiative to let people know that, look, we're out there, we're pressure testing the gas transmission pipelines, we're replacing those transmission pipelines, and they're doing leak surveying of all of those transmission and distribution pipelines. So with that being said, the next initiative is to go out and look at where the pipelines are, what's on top of those pipelines. And what they're finding out is there are a lot of trees that are right over the top of those pipelines. Most of those trees have been planted over them, or inadvertently because of acorns or whatever else, the trees started growing over the top of them. But what they show in their literature is what happens when the roots go down, surround a pipeline, and the degradation it can cause to those pipelines. So what they're promoting now is a campaign of looking at the streets and highways, the locations of those pipelines, the locations of the trees, and which trees need to come out. In some instances, there are very large oaks that are going to need to come out. I don't think from our meeting it showed a lot of them, but you know what, there's a concern to property owners when those large oaks have to come out because they're beautiful trees and they enhance in many cases, if it's not too close to your house like mine, they enhance the value of your property.
Okay, I think I know where you live. You probably don't have a PG&E pipeline coming to out there, do you? I'm in Pine Grove.
We don't have a gas pipeline on my place.
So a lot of this is in the probably cities area, Jackson, Sutter Creek?
You know what, it's in the cities, but there are a lot of gas pipelines out in the county too. The Jackson Valley area has a lot of pipelines, and there are other rural areas within the county. And they have this, and they'll have it up on the, in their PowerPoint, they'll be able to show, and I didn't see it in this presentation. I hope they have included it, but they had maps that were very specific about the locations of the trees that they've identified that need to come out. They have professional foresters like Ed Strufenegger working with them. You know, nobody likes to pull trees out if we don't have to, but in this case you're talking about the safety of people and the degradation of those pipelines that nobody wants the pipelines to blow up either.
I did live in Southern California in the San Fernando Valley, and we have PG&E out there, and I don't ever remember planting any whenever you plant stuff, landscaping, anything that would say call PG&E before you would plant anything to make sure it wasn't over any gas pipelines. So this this must be something, I don't know how recent this is, but to be concerned about that. But how did this come about? Have they told you?
I think over the course of time, over the last 20 and 30 years, maybe PG&E hasn't been as diligent as they should have been. Maybe planners that have approved developments haven't been as diligent. And you know what's happened too is the pipelines occasionally have to be moved when roadways are widened and things like that. So I think it's a matter of just not placing blame on PG&E or anybody else, but look, we have an issue now. We need to try and work with PG&E to help resolve that. They are, and that's why I wanted the board to be involved, because this is going to affect every supervisorial district, and we might be getting some complaints over this. PG&E wants to go in. They want to work constructively with the property owners. I'm not an advocate so much for PG&E as I am an advocate for the safety of the people that live within our county. And PG&E doesn't want to have to fight people when they go in and say, look, we need to take this tree out. Some people are not going to like that. So they're going to work with the people and see what they can do.
Okay. All right. So
next up, we have Dollar General again. It's back on the radar. We asked for, and we are getting an update from our planning department as to where exactly is the permitting process for Dollar General right now. And this is the Dollar General in Buckhorn. Right. One in Pine Grove, which we know has been constructed already, or is almost completed, I guess. The building permit application was submitted on July 16th of this year. The building plans were sent to our outside inspection agency, Coastland, on July 30th. It's about a 3-month, 90 to 120-day process of inspecting those plans. So the plans are in line for plan check as of August 3rd, last week, and then Coastland will expect the first round of comments in about 4 weeks. So what they'll do is come back and comment based on their initial review, and if there's a need for anything else. I hope that in this process, I know we have a letter and documentation from the planner, or from the builder. Simon CRE is the builder, and their attorney has commented to them as to what she gleaned out of the recent meeting that was held and all the comments. A couple of things they say that are interesting. Before I cover that, I'm going to go into, this goes to a lot of different departments. They look at the departments that I look at are Transportation and Public Works, Transportation Impacts, County Road System, Encroachments, Fire and Life Safety, Erosion Control Ordinances, which will be done by our Land Use Department and our Public Works, Street and Road Design, as well as a number of other departments. Environmental Health will be involved, but the encroachment permit application has been submitted, and where they intend to encroach is right on Meadow Drive into the property that they purchase. It's pretty apparent that they don't think they have any obligation to do anything at Highway 88 and Meadow Drive. We'll see what happens there once the initial plan review and studies are done. A grading permit application was submitted, a draft drainage report, a draft traffic impact study report, and a geotechnical engineering report. So they're doing everything you do for a ministerial permit. Now, what they have said is on a couple of the issues that were raised. One is restrooms. The comment was made at our meeting that Dollar Generals typically don't let people use the restroom, only employees. They have said here that it is going to be a restroom for employees and for the general public. So that issue is taken care of, I believe. The lighting, they say they're going to use the low impact lights that basically shine down and have shielding, so the lights aren't allowed to go everywhere. Landscaping, they want to use low water use landscaping, which makes sense in this day and age. So drought resistant, they said they are willing to improve the aesthetics if requested with some other design, but and I imagine that will happen too. With landscape planners or islands or anything they can do to improve the aesthetics. Drainage was asked about at our meeting the other day. under the current design, they say they're going to have either less or the same amount of drain that's going off the property. The other thing is building design. I could hold this up, it'd be hard to see, but just for general purposes, they have the way a Dollar General normally looks, and then they have a design of a couple of, they've broken it up basically and say that because of the community input, they're willing to go with a design that would basically not have that flat storefront purpose. The look to it, they would deviate from the national brand look for the store and incorporate architectural features that would include raised elements, creating varying height and plane changes to the roof line and exterior walls. So it's not going to have just that flat rectangular appearance to it. Those seem to be good things to me. The big thing is the neighbors still aren't going to like it in their neighborhood. You can't do much about that. It's an appropriately zoned lot, and I don't know what we do about that other than say you're not going to have any Dollar Generals up here. The one thing I'm concerned about is that they're trying to shirk their responsibility of fixing any issues that are going to arise at Meadow and Highway 88, which appears to me that if they're going to have an impact, which I think they are, they should be held responsible for some of that.
Okay. Will that be coming from the Transportation Department and that looks at that?
Comments
Also
will be coming in from all of our departments.
Okay.
And they're talking to Caltrans right now and figuring out, is Caltrans, can they require something here because the lot they purchased is off of Highway 88.
Okay. Coming up to a hard break. We'll be back. Stay with us right here on TSPN.